We were discussing the bogus equations. We have derived the bogus equation from the demand equation and the supply equation, multiplied the demand equation by lambda and supply equation by 1 minus lambda, and adding these two equations, we have the bogus equation, that is uh, 19.2.10, that is Qt equal to gamma naught plus gamma 1 Pt. This is the bogus equations. So the question is, how can we learn from these bogus equations? How can we learn by using these bogus equations to whether the demand equation or the supply equation is is identified or unidentified? So we have to focus on one thing. We have to compare the bogus equations with the equation of interest. We have to compare the bogus equation with the equation of interest. If the equation of interest is uh, distinguishable from the bogus equation, the equation of interest is identified. And if the equation of interest is indistinguishable, it means the equation under consideration is unidentified. So we can look at by using we can look by using the bogus equation to whether our equations, demand equations, or the supply equations uh, is identified or not. So we compare the demand equation with the bogus equation. You can see that both the equations are same. Demand equation is indistinguishable from the bogus equation, because a demand equation is a function of price and bogus equation is also function of price. Both these equation is consistent with data set on quantity and prices. And the demand equation is also consistent with the data set quantity and prices, and bogus equation is also consistent with the data set on the quantity and prices. So both the equations are the same. So it means a demand equation is indistinguishable from the bogus equations. So it means demand equation is unidentified. Now we want to look at we want to look whether the supply equation is identified or not. For this purpose, again we compare the your demand equations with the Mongrel equations, and we can see that the supply equation is indistinguishable with the Mongrel equation, because the supply equations and Mongrel equation is same, because both these equations are consistent with the same data set on the quantity and prices. So the crux of this is, okay, if an equation is to be identified, it must be distinguishable from the bogus equations. But here, both equations are unidentified, because both the equations, that is the demand equation and the supply equations, both equations are indistinguishable from the bogus equation. So both equations are unidentified. So the bogus equation that we have derived is observationally indistinguishable from equation from the demand equation, that is 18.2.1, and the supply equation, that is 18.2.2, because they involve because all these three equations involve the regulation of Q and P, because all three equations are consistent with the data set of on Q and quantity and the prices. So if we have a time series data on price and quantity only, all the three equations, demand equation, supply equations, and the Monge equations may be compatible with the same data set. And there is no way we can tell which of these hypotheses we are testing, because same data sets are being used in the demand equations, can be used to test the demand. Same data set can be used for to test the supply models, and same data set can be used to uh, test the Monge equation. So the same data set is compatible with the three models, demand models, supply model, and the Monge equation. So there is no way we can tell which models, which hypothesis among these we are testing. So the important thing is to examine the identifiability of an equation is to make the comparison. If the equation of interest is differentiable from the bogus equation, then the equation will be identified. And if the equation of interest is indistinguishable from the bogus equations, then the equation is unidentified. So in our interest, in our scenarios, we are looking at these two equations, that is of the demand equation and the supply equation. Both these equations are indistinguishable uh, from the bogus equation, because all these two equations are appearing the same as of the uh, bogus or the novel equations. So we have to make the comparison in term of variable, not in term of parameters. You can see that the variables of all these equations are the same. So that's why we can say that all the your demand equation and the supply equations are indistinguishable from the Maxwell equation, and these both of these equations are unidentified. We can also examine the identification issues through a graph. Look at the how can we identify a equation using the graphic representations. We have a diagram. Look at the diagram, that is your 19.1.a. In this diagram, we have some of the your scatter diagram. We have some scattered points. Uh, this is 19.1b. This diagram show basically the intersection. The point show the intersection of the market. Now look at the point. This is the point, and this point is the intersection of the show the intersection of the demand and supply. This point also show the intersection of the demand and supply. This point also show the intersection of. So we picked one point among all these. Let's say this is the point, and you can see at this point, yeah, through this points, we can sketch a number of demand curves. This one, this one, this one, and many more. Look at from this one, and on the same way from this single points, we have sketched a number of the supply curve. So from this analysis, we are unable to explain okay, uh, which uh, how can we uh, so there is no way we can be sure, we can be determined which demand and supply curve among the family of whole curves, from the family of from the whole family of curves shown in the panels generated by the point. Yani, uh, we are unable to explain okay, Among all these demand and supply curves, which curves are responsible uh, for these points? Anyhow, this point, yeah, from which demand curve from the this whole family of demand and supply curve, this point is being generated. We are unable to learn it. So clearly, some additional informations uh, about the nature of the demand and supply curve is needed. For example, if we pick one point this year, let's say we pick one point here, and if we uh, have some additional informations, and that additional information is, let's say, the income of the consumer or the taste of the consumer is going to change. So with this change, the taste of the income, with the taste and the income, the consumer uh, with the change in the taste and the income of the consumer, the demand curve is going to shift uh, outward or leftward. It depends on whether the income is increasing or decreasing. If the income is increasing, taste is improving, uh, then this curve will be shifted outward. And if income will decrease and the taste will be negative turn, it means the curve will be shifted downward. But the demand curve is shifting, as you can see, while the supply curve remains stable. So this is the shift in demand curve, and this shift in demand is because of some additional information, and that additional information is that the income of the consumer is going to change. Income of the consumer is going to increase. With this increase in the income, with this increase in the income, this demand curve is going to shift upward while the supply curve is stable. So the scatter point help us in uh, determining, in identifying the supply curve. On the other hand, if you look at the same story, by the same token, if supply curve shift over time because of the change in the weather conditions or some of the price of the agriculture commodities or some other extraneous factors, but the demand remain stable as in figure 1.19.1e, that help us. So the scatter points trace out the demand curve. So in this case, we say that the demand curve is identified. So this is the way we can identify the demand curve or supply curve using the graphic interpretations. So the basic crux is uh, uh, because both the demand function and the supply functions uh, uh, are consistent with the same data set. So if you have to identify, and both are unidentified, but if you have to identify some of the equations, you have to require some more of the information. As when you have seen that uh, when when you are going to identify the demand equations, you have some more information that is regarding the income of the consumers, and when your supply equation is being identified at that time, you have some uh, additional information regarding the weather, and that additional informations that you have help us in identifying the demand equations and in identifying the supply equations. And when you have additional information regarding income, that additional information help you in identifying the supply equations. And when you have additional information regarding the supply, regarding the weathers, that additional information help us in identifying the demand equations. So the next the topic is uh, just we have finished the uh, under-identified or unidentified equations. Now we move to the just or the exact identified. And what are the just or exact identified equations? Uh, in the previous sections, we have looked at the reasons why we could not identify the demand functions or the supply functions was that we have a same set of variables that represent in both of the functions, and that set of variable is price and quantity, and both the demand and the supply models are compatible with the same data sets. So there is no additional informations such as indicated in the figure. In the figure, we have identified only the supply equation only because we have some additional informations, and we have identified the demand equation because we have some additional information. But until we have no additional information, we are unable to identify the demand function or the supply functions. So let's we consider the following demand functions. So we consider uh, the same demand and supply model with a little bit modifications. We have modified the demand functions. The modification is we have incorporated one additional variable in the demand function, that is the income. So your new demand function is quantity equal to alpha naught plus alpha 1 pt plus alpha 2 it. It is the new variable that is being introduced plus array term, and on the other hand supply function is quantity equal to beta naught plus beta 1 pt plus array terms, and the supply function is the same, and the demand function has been modified uh, with the incorporation of the with the addition of the income variable in the previous demand function. The only difference where in this model I is the income, and income has a positive impact on the quantity demand of many goods. So the parameter alpha 2 is greater than 0. Alpha 1 is less than 0 because quantity and price have negative relations, while on the other hand quantity and income have a positive relationship. So the only difference between these two models, between this model and the original demand and supply model, is that there is one additional variables in the demand equation, that is the income. So this inclusion in the demand function, the inclusion of the income variable in the demand function will give us some additional information that consumer behavior. So, using the uh, market clearing mechanism, using the equilibrium conditions, we solve this market model. Uh, to solve this market model, we equate the quantity demand with quantity supply. As we can see, this is your demand equations, and this is your supply equations. I have placed the quantity demand and quantity supply uh, uh, equations into the equilibrium equations. So solving these two will provide us this reduced form. This is the first reduced form, that is the reduced form of the prices, price equal to pi naught plus pi 1 IT plus VT, where pi naught and pi 1 are the reduced form coefficients. So placing this reduced sum equation into the original models to get the second reduced sum equations, that is for the quantity. So this is the second reduced sum equations, and this is the first reduced sum equations. This is the first reduced sum equations, and uh, this is the second reduced sum equations, and this equation has been derived by substituting the value of Pt into the demand or supply function. We obtain this equilibrium quantity. So this is the second reduced sum equations, and here pi 2 and pi 3 are the reduced form coefficients. So it means in this models we have 5 structural parameters. We look at equations 19.2.15 and 19.2.17 are both reduced form equations, one for the uh, endogenous variable prices and other for the endogenous variable quantities. The OLS methods can be applied to estimate the reduced form equations. Why we apply the OLS to estimate the reduced sum equation? Because in the reduced sum equations on the right side of the equations we have only non-stochastic variables, or we have only the predetermined variables, and by assumptions these predetermined variables are uncorrelated with the error terms. So when they are uncorrelated with the error terms, it means we are not violating the assumptions of the classical linear regression models. So we estimate the reduced form equations by applying the OLS. So now the demand and supply models contain 5 structural parameters. We have 3 structural parameters for the demand equations, that is alpha naught, alpha 1, alpha 2, and we have 2 structural parameters in the supply models, that is beta naught and beta naught and beta 1. But there are only 4 equations to estimate them, and these are reduce some coefficient, that is pi naught, pi 1, pi 2, and pi 3. And we can see here that we have 5 structural parameters and we have only 4 reduced form coefficients. So we have to estimate these 5 structural parameters using these 4 reduced form coefficients. It means we have 5 unknown, but on the other hand, we have 4 equations. So it is not possible to get the unique solutions of all the structure parameters, because the structure parameters are more than the unknowns are more than the number of equations, that is the reduced sum coefficients here. So only the unique solutions of all the structural quotient is not possible, but it can be seen uh, that the parameter of a supply function can be identified. Because how can we identify these 2 parameters? You can look at the previous examples. Okay, you can see this one where my cursor is fluctuating or moving. Beta 1 equal to pi 3 over pi 1. So we look at what is the pi 3 and what is pi 1. So we look at the this is the pi 3, this is pi 3, this is pi 3, and this is pi 1, and these two are the reduced sum coefficient. So by using these two reduced sum coefficient pi 1 and pi 3, we can determine the value of beta 1. How? Divide beta pi 3 by pi 1. When you divide pi 3 by pi 1, you will get some things will be cancelled out. Alpha 2 over alpha 1 minus beta 1 will be cancelled out, and we have the outcome will be equal to, the result will be equal to b1. So pi 3 over pi 1 equal to beta 1. It means the value of the structural parameters, the numerical value of the structural parameters can be obtained by using the reduced form coefficients. So on the same way, the value of beta naught can also be achieved, can also be obtained from the reduced sum coefficients. This is the way we can obtain the beta naught by using the reduced form coefficients. Beta naught equal to pi 2 minus beta 1, the value of slope quotient that we have calculated just now by dividing pi 3 over pi 1. So this is the value of beta 1 that comes from here, beta 1. First we determine beta 1, and then we determine the value of beta 1, and then we will use it to determine the value of beta naught. So beta naught equal to pi 2 minus beta 1 pi. We will get the numeric values when we estimate the reduced form. When we estimate the reduced form, when we regress the quantity on the income, and when we regress the prices on the income, we get the numerical value. We get the numerical estimates of pi 2, pi naught, pi 1, pi naught, pi 1, pi 2, and pi 3. So when we have this numerical estimate, and then we use these numerical estimate, when we use these estimated coefficient to calculate to obtain the numerical value of the your structural parameters. So you can look at, let's say we have the numerical value, some number here, pi 3, and some number that is the estimated value, estimated coefficient here. So when we divide these two, we have some numerical value here. And again, we place, this is the numerical value that we have obtained after estimating the reduced form coefficient. तो reduced form equation को हमने जब OLS से estimate किया, we have the numerical value of this one, and we have got the numerical value of beta 1 through here, from here, and we have also the numerical value of pi naught, and then we solve all these, we have the numerical value of beta naught, and we have the numerical value of beta 1. So you can see we have the 5 structural parameters, but from these 5 structural parameters, we cannot estimate the value of, we cannot determine the numerical values of all the structural parameters, because we have 5 structural parameters, but we have only 4 estimated reduced sum coefficients. And with these 4 reduced sum coefficients, we are unable to determine the numerical value of all the 5 structural parameters. But by using these 4 reduced sum, estimated reduced sum quotient, we can only determine the numerical values of the 2 structural parameters, that is beta naught and beta 1, and these parameters are related to the supply models. It means because the structural parameters of the supply models can be determined from the estimated reduced sum coefficient, it means that supply function is identified and demand function is unidentified, because the structural parameters of the demand equations, that is alpha naught, alpha 1, alpha 2, cannot be estimated using the cannot be determined using the estimated reduced form coefficients. So from this story, uh, from this discussion, we can conclude that the demand equation is your undefined, the demand function is unidentified, while on the other hand, the supply function is identified. Again, we can verify this conclusion by applying the bogus equations. To derive the bogus equation, we multiply the demand equation uh, by lambda and the supply equation by 1 minus lambda. After multiplying the demand by lambda and supply equation by 1 minus lambda and solving and manipulating and solving it uh, these two equations. By adding these two equations, we have the Mongrel equations. So this is the Mongrel equations that we have derived from the uh, demand equations and the supply equations. So this Mongrel equation is uh, quantity equal to gamma naught plus gamma 1 pt and gamma 2 it plus wt. And as I have discussed earlier, how can we use, how can we apply the Mongrel equations to examine whether the equation of interest is identified or equation of interest is identified. Again, we look at uh, while applying, while using the Mongrel equations to examine the identification problem, we have to look at one point. We have to care of one point. And we have basically to use Mongrel equations for examining the identifications. We have to make the comparison. We have to compare the your equation of interest with the Mongrel equation. If your equation of interest is indistinguishable from the Mongrel equation, the equation of interest is unidentified. But if the equation of interest is if your equation of interest is distinguishable from the Mongrel equation, you can say that your equation of interest is identified. Now we look at we look at what is going on in our scenario here. We have the models. We have the demand equations. That is, quantity is equal to beta alpha naught plus alpha 1 uh, prices plus alpha 2 income plus error term. So we first we look at whether the demand equation is identified or unidentified. So for this purpose, I will compare the demand equations with the Mongrel equations, and you can see that demand equations and Mongrel equations are appearing are, are the same, uh, are looking same in appearance because the demand of a demand functions is depending on the price and the income, and your Mongrel equations show that quantity is also dependent on the prices and the income level. It means the demand equations and the Mongrel equations are the same in appearance. So it means the demand equations, that is equation of your interest. Equation of interest means the equations to whom you are going to look the identifications. So the demand equations and the Mongrel equations are same. Demand equation is indistinguishable from the Mongrel equation. So we conclude that demand is unidentified. But on the other hand, when we look at the identification of the supply equations, we compare the supply equation with the Mongrel equations, and we can see that supply equation is observationally observationally distinguishable from the Mongrel equation, because supply equation is Q equal to beta naught plus beta 1 PT plus error term, but the Mongrel equation is gamma naught plus gamma 1 PT plus gamma 2 IT. So both equations are different to each other. So on the basis of this, the supply equation is distinguishable from the Mongrel equation. We can conclude that supply equation is identified. So here is an interesting fact is it is the presence of an additional variables in the demand functions that help us in to identify the supply functions.
एक्सक्यूज मी सर।
जी
अच्छा सर, अभी ये जो आपने बताया कि दो मेन चीजें हैं जब हम ये देखेंगे कि ये आइडेंटिटी है कौन सी नहीं है। एक में सबसे पहले आपने बताया कि अभी जो हमने क्वांटिटी डिमांड वाला सर एक एनालिसिस किया है, उसमें हमारे पास 5 स्ट्रक्चरल पैरामीटर्स हैं और 4 हमारे पास रिड्यूस्ड फॉर्म कोफिशिएंट